Welcome to the Contingency Plan Podcast. My name is Jedi Master David, and with me as always is Darth Austin.
Hello, everyone.
You know what? We got to get serious on him for a second, okay? We got to have a serious, like 15 to 20 to 30 minute conversation with the fine viewers, listeners. Listeners.
Look at him. He's a distinguished gentleman. He listens to our podcast.
Yes, the fine Victorian listeners of this very well-produced podcast that never makes a mistake in their entire lives.
Never.
Wow. No, but in all seriousness, we're going to get a little real here. So last week, we talked about the Bad Batch, right?
Yeah.
And this week, we are going to talk about Dr. Aphra, the Dr. Aphra comic.
Yeah.
Which wasn't initially in our heads our plan.
Yeah.
So, again, just you know, to pull out of the jokey mode that we sometimes do in the beginning of the podcast, but I feel as though that, you know, I've kind of hit a weird point of fatigue with the comings and goings of the world, the comings and goings of everything that everybody has to deal with right now in regards to the pandemic and, you know, just whatever, right? And, you know, last week we were ready for the Bad Batch. And what we apparently did was we jumped in like a flippin' DeLorean time machine, a DeLorean crossed with Doctor Who's TARDIS and, you know, crossed with Bill and Ted's phone booth and, you know, just went about a month in advance and somehow thought that April just didn't exist anymore.
You know, it happens. Sometimes you just feel like you don't need a month.
Well, you know what? The worst part of this is that we explained in the podcast, like, when this stuff was going to come out. Like I think
way too many times.
Well, I'm pretty sure we said May the 4th, you know, whatever. I'm pretty sure we said that. I'm not going to go back and listen to it. Screw that. But
I even asked you before the podcast, you want to do anything for May the 4th? You're like, no, I don't care about that. Plus we have Bad Batch.
Well, and by that, I mean, I didn't want to specifically put anything out on May the 4th. I just wanted to roll with our normal schedule. Mm-hmm. And I mean, obviously we would make mention of May the 4th, but just not specifically put out an episode on May the 4th, which falls on what, a Tuesday? Wasn't it? Tuesday, Wednesday? I don't know, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Calendar check. I'm not guessing.
Yeah, I don't care.
We need to learn how to use calendars anyway,
yeah.
So...
Well, but the problem was we had both, and this isn't just me or just him. This wasn't like the dark side just taking over everything or the light side just being dumb.
Sunday.
It's a Sunday?
Yeah.
Okay, well, there you go. See, I don't even remember. But we both somehow got it in our minds, like Mandela effect style, that right now, you know, It is Friday the 9th that we're recording this to drop on the following Monday. We had it in our heads that we were going to be talking about 2 episodes of the Bad Batch. And then I get this text from the Darth, and I've been so busy at work, I haven't even thought about anything outside of work. And I get this text, and he says, dude, like, Bad Batch isn't even on Disney Plus. And I said, well, no, it wouldn't be on Disney Plus. It's not time. But then I was like, we did expect to do that this weekend. What the hell happened to us?
You know, I think what happened with me is I had that moment of clarity because I've been sick, so I took yesterday and today off. And I was like, this is great. I'm going to work on my Pokedex a little bit. I'm going to start a rewatch of all the Star Wars movie in the worst chronological order ever. My rewatches make no sense. And then I finished A New Hope. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to start Bad Batch. You know, I know I got a day, but I'll maybe watch it twice. I start looking through Disney Plus, start looking through the Star Wars section, get confused, start searching it, look up that there's only a trailer. I'm like, what's happening? What is this?
Yeah.
And like, I even questioned it when I texted you. It's like, am I about to sound like an idiot? Did we say we were going to do that? Am I supposed to be watching Rebels right now? Did I mess up?
Yeah. And that text, I think, Wednesday you text me, or did you text me yesterday?
It was yesterday.
Yeah. So Thursday. And obviously, like, our plan prior to last week's episode was to talk about Rebels Season 1 this week. Or no, that's not even true. It was supposed to be last week, but then we did Bad Batch,
Right.
and then Aphra was supposed to be this week. So we are technically on schedule. But we had sort of like, anyway, it's whatever. But the confusion was just, it was strange. And again, you know, we've pretty much steered clear of a lot of the, you know, the pandemic-y stuff, you know. We've both done what we need to do to, you know, keep safe and all that good jazz and whatnot. You know, I've been working from home since like late April, early May. You know, you've been doing your stuff, and
yeah, our shop's completely locked down up until last week, so we've been fairly isolated.
Yeah, and you know, I really haven't, you know, had, you know, the going out and all that stuff. So, you know, the thing is it's not like we're flipping about it, but I am tired of it. You know, I think I've reached that sort of point of just, you know, too much,
Just
like
fatigue.
Right. And, you know, time is going by quickly, and then it's, you know, things are just flashing by. And, you know, we've said it before. I was supposed to like be in different states and doing a bunch of stuff last year. And then we had a little bit of hope for this year, but it still's looking a little bit meh. And, you know, it kind of looks like we're just sort of losing basically 2 years to this. And again, like, we both have a comprehension and an understanding of the why, but the human nature aspect of it says you're not built to live like this.
Yeah.
And, you know, again, like just completely spacing on such a small detail that we even detailed. Like we did it, like we knew. And to still get it that wrong and put in our mind that like literally we had advanced in time without actually advancing in time is kind of troubling to me. And
yeah.
And the fact of the matter is that like, it's, you know, we're not like stopping the podcast. We're not taking personal, like
PTO.
a personal leave or anything from the podcast. Cause I do enjoy having the conversations, and conversations are great. You know, we usually talk a little while before we even start recording, but you know, I think at some point we just need to get back to just what is actually normal. And, you know, kind of start realizing that this just isn't how people are meant to live. You know, even for somebody who doesn't necessarily want to go out every day or do something every day, you know, but there are definitely some drawbacks to what's going on now. So it was just such a strange thing to happen. Because normally we're both pretty on the ball with this sort of stuff.
Well, it's almost just like we were feeding off of each other. It's like, yeah, this is definitely happening. Should I question it? No, don't question the other person. No, we're good. We're good. It's pretty troubling for me how this has all been affecting me. And obviously, again, our condolences to anyone listening to the podcast who's been affected by this. And we're not cold to it. We understand why we're doing this. But I just remember the other day I went into the gas station to pick up ice and a few little things, and I have this bad habit of leaving my masks in my pockets. I usually keep one in the car, but then I ends up entering the house, and then it's warm out. I don't take my coat, so I have no masks in my car. I'm like, I'm just gonna see if they let me. Usually they let me. I walk in. As soon as I walk in, like, sir, you need a mask or you need to leave, and just this gas station is right down the road, like 5 seconds from my house, so the amount of mental exhaustion I felt at the concept of going back home to get a mask was kind of scary. Like, this should not be affecting me this much at this point. Luckily,
Right.
there was someone nice enough to offer me a mask and whatnot, but it's just, for something so little, it just should not be affecting my mental state that much.
Yeah, and I mean that's the thing is people talk about like new normals or, getting used to it. But again, there is a point to where it's just not normal. It's not normal enough to be the new normal for anybody. And yeah, I mean, we talk about it. And I think both philosophically, we can both say, yeah, I mean, wearing a mask isn't a big deal. If that's what we have to do, okay, it's not a big deal. But again, the realistic side of things, because we are not philosophical at all times, it does get exhausting at times. And I went to the comic shop, and I it was one of those things where I was at one place, I came out, put my mask in my back pocket, and I actually do make sure I have a couple in my truck, actually more for other people that might be around.
Yeah.
Like just in case they need one. And I get to rummaging around, I'm like, well, crap. I mean, I don't know, maybe it flew away or something, and I've increased the litter from all the people dropping their flipping masks. You know how much litter there's been from masks? Just not just like the crappy ones or the medical ones, but like people's special ones that just fly out all over the place. Like how much litter that's been.
Oh, yeah, like around Christmas time when you had the massive snow piles in the Walmart parking lots, it's just littered with masks all around.
Yeah, that honestly does kind of irritate me because it's just, anyway, whatever. But yeah, I was searching and I did get another one, and then I get in there and I reach for my wallet and it was there. Like the other mask was like in my back pocket near my wallet, and I was like, "Oh God, this is so stupid." Because you can't continue to wear the same one like for days and days on end, because then you increase certain aspects of like, bacterial buildup on those things. And, like in like worst case, you could potentially have like, there have been cases of like Legionnaires and stuff like that. Which unfortunately, I don't know. You were a little young for it, but I remember firsthand what that did back in the factory, anyway, where our dad worked. But whatever. Yeah, it's just been kind of fatigue, and I see a lot of the people at work, and we're at the point where we have to start capacity planning to potentially bring people back in at some point. We don't have a date, and it probably won't be anytime soon, but we have to start thinking about it. And when I checked with people and I was like, okay, so would you like to work from home, or would you like to, as just a pulse check, because we won't be able to bring everybody back in, period. We won't have enough space.
Right.
But anyway, like there were a lot of people that were saying work from home. And I've talked to a lot of these people. It's like, yeah, I know you would prefer that, but and I know, if we're both honest about it, that you work better in the office.
Oh yeah, of course.
And the other unfortunate thing is, especially for the businesses who have been able to transition work from home like ours, it's created a false security and a false norm for people, where now, instead of like the babysitters for their kids, now instead of, I don't know what else people would typically plan for before going to work.
Commuting costs.
True, that
Keeping
as well.
Up on your vehicles.
Yeah, exactly. And that sort of stuff has now gone out the window, and they don't want to deal with it anymore. But that's a factor of life. And just because you can do something in our line of business, what we're doing is not secure. It's not. There are certain security risks that do come into play for work from home, and that's just a reality. And businesses have to figure out a way, to deal with that. And one of the dealing with it is eventually we're going to have to be back home, period. Or we're going to have to be back in the office, period. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, even in those sort of scenarios, there's even a false sense of comfort. And I'll tell you what, generally I'm on quite a bit, but yeah, I like not driving home in the winter at night, because when I'd get off of work, by that time, it's already getting dark, or it is dark. So it's nice to like just be at home, and then I go out and take a walk while there's still some some light out, because it's not, I don't live right next to my work. I have a commute.
You have like an extra hour and a half a day.
No, it's not quite that much. I mean, in the morning when there's no traffic, it's maybe 30 to 40 minutes. In the evening, depending on traffic, it could be 45 to an hour, but that's on a bad day. So it seems like it would be longer, but it's not. It just depends on traffic. But yeah, I mean, it's still a commute though. It's still, miles. But yeah, it's just been hard on everybody. And I think in the era of trying to understand feelings of people, I think we have to understand both sides, the safety aspect and then the fatigue aspect of all of this as well. Because again, that particular scenario, we're normally on top of this sort of scheduling stuff. We've always been very detail oriented. That bothered me. And it really does. That actually really did bother me. And I had to pause to sort of think about that. It's like, have I been doing this with other things?
Yeah.
Anyway, so aside from obviously losing our flipping minds, how was your week?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's decent. I had a short week. I had a couple days off due to a little bit of COVID going around now. I'm just got cold. It's pretty simple. But, yeah, getting to rewatch some Star Wars and take a little break. Obviously, my mind needs a little break, a little more sleep maybe. So it's been a nice reset for me.
Good.
What about you?
It's been extremely busy. We are actually doing some hiring, so I've been conducting some interviews of some severely underqualified people that I just don't like. Yeah, it's been something. But yeah, it's just another week, man.
Yeah.
Just another week.
I feel like our "How's your week been" segment lately has been kind of dry. Just that time of year, nothing's really going on except for the boring stuff. No one wants to hear about work. So
yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, we're not really doing anything at this point. It's all just kind of the sort of the same. I'm ramping up some house projects and so forth again now that I have some warmer weather to deal with.
Oh yeah, how'd your projects last week go? You get them all done?
Oh no, I only got I got a handful of things done, which was good. Paint's basically bought. I need to get a few more little odds and ends to. I mean, this is all really boring, I suppose, but I'm redoing all these cabinets. But the problem is when the previous person that owned the house. Put this large piece of hardware to open the cabinets with. And the issue is they drilled 2 holes, and they're pretty big holes. So I'm going to have to fill those holes. So I need to get some dowels to fill, and then some wood filler. And then I'm going to have to wait for that to set and sand. And there's still going to be 2 holes in it. And then where
the crap out of you.
Well, it's not going to be fun, but where I'm putting the hardware is further down, so I'm not even using one of the existing holes. And you might be saying, well, why don't you just get new cabinets? Why the hell would I do that? I mean, why would I want to pay more money Clearly, for that, man?
If you're willing to put this kind of work in, that's the last option for you.
Yeah, I'm not buying all new cabinets. They're getting refinished, and it's just gonna have to be okay for potentially the next person once I sell this house down the road, because this isn't like forever home or anything. But yeah, that was that. So yep, there's always something to do, and I don't know, not much else, man, not much else. So I suppose we've probably yacked about long enough there. We'll talk a little bit about some new Star Wars stuff, get your reaction to it. And then we will roll into the first, 8 issues?
Yeah, 8.
Yeah, 8 issues of the Dr. Aphra comic, and kind of roll through some of those. But Hey, man, you know what happened this week?
What?
Apparently Disney has a real lightsaber.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, but they didn't show anybody.
Well, that was kind of rude.
So here's the scoop. I was about to try to go into like a news anchor voice. You know, I hate how news people talk.
Well, imagine being them. Imagine doing that for a living.
At one point, you know, there was this, I believe it was called like, what was it, the transatlantic accent or something that movie stars used to use in like the golden age of movies. You know, that weird enunciation that you always like equate to like 30s gangsters and stuff, you know, just that way of speaking. And it was really over enunciated and everything, but it was like, you know, so that people could really catch everything. And I don't know, the news people, they just do bother me the way. Anyway, I'm done. So anyway, there's a real lightsaber, but I think real is more of a quotative term, because essentially what is being kind of thought about is this is like a park thing or for the hotel, I guess. And it is a extendable, retractable lightsaber. So it has the blade potentially like in two parts concealed in the hilt with a mechanism to extend it. Now, the way I think about this...
You don't just have to swing it to extend it like an idiot?
Well, like the old toys that we had. Yeah, that's the point. My only thought process is that's going to make the handle pretty big. Because when you think about it, I think most of like normal blades are what, like 32 to 36 inches. So in two halves, you're going to potentially have like you're going to have it potentially 16 to 20 inches.
Which is kind of getting into that dual blade category.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess I don't, well, whatever. I don't know, man. I don't think that
How's it going to look with
doubts.
the segment, though? I mean, is it going to be really defined? Is it going to be kind of washed out when it's glowing? Or
well, I mean, you would be able
just
to see.
Colored?
You would have to be able to see the seam between the two segments. I mean, I don't think that's avoidable.
I know, like I've seen on TikTok, there's this advertisement all the time for this Amazon toy that's like a extendable staff that's like, it fits in the palm of your hand, then you hit a button and it just extends, and the seams actually are really decent on those, but it's extremely, extremely small segments, and I feel like that might be the way to go with that.
Well,
Maybe do like aluminum or something, and
yeah. Well, I mean, the only thing that I was thinking is like, so if you wanted to keep the hilt a little bit shorter, yeah, you do shorter segments, but then again, it's going to be seams. And then like, well, okay, so let's continue down this engineering roadmap, because we clearly went to engineering school and are total engineers.
yeah, for sure. That's why I'm a mechanic, because I have engineering training.
Well, my first question is, how does it extend? Does it extend through the outside of the blade or the inside? Is there a mechanism inside of the actual tube extending it, or is it on the outside, like rolling it up?
Right.
But then, okay, again, so my thought process is, how does the inner segment, if it is inside of the segment, which is what it would have to be, how does that inner segment extend? If the mechanism is on the outside, it would have to be somehow in the inside of the tube, like the saber tube, to do that, right?
Right. And I don't know, to me, the logical way to do it, which kind of breaks down with the length of the blade, is more like a switchblade. You know, you have something affixed that is the actual spring-load mechanism that moves the blade up and down. And what I would imagine would be like a spring-loaded rod that's connected to the very last segment. So it pulls that, and then it's got a cone that as it pulls it back in, it grabs every other segment. But then you're kind of dealing with a length issue with the hilt.
That's what she said.
That rod is then segmented as well.
I just had another thought. You remember like the original sabers, like they had basically like the antenna going up.
Yeah.
So that's actually what I was sort of thinking about. So you would have like, now I'm thinking about it. So you have like a centralized antenna that's mechanized, right? And then an outer tube. So potentially that could actually be pretty structurally sound because you have like maybe an aluminum extendable, and then that extends up the whatever poly blade. That makes more sense, right? And then you could put your light strips on that extending mechanism, and then have the fade effect as it goes up.
Yeah, that turning on sense. That would be kind of cool.
Dude, we're total engineers, man. We work through that problem like flipping pros.
Probably took Disney from the moment they bought out Star Wars, and we figured it out in like 10 seconds.
No, I mean, seriously.
Disney checks, man. I'm telling you, those Disney checks need to start rolling.
Yeah, but I'm still just thinking about the poly, whatever the poly blade, though. The actual like part that you're going to see. I just don't see how that would look good. I don't see how it would look any different from those stupid extendable ones that we used to have as a kid. You're going to see the segments, man.
Unfortunately, if you want a really nice lightsaber, it has to be one fixed blade and you have to thread it on. But I get, for someone who's not as worried about the aesthetics, the actual action of doing that would be really cool. Especially if they incorporate something into the park where you'd be using your lightsaber constantly, have a little a battle room or almost like a laser tag style of thing. Which, a side note, Ezra's lightsaber would be amazing for laser tag. That'd be pretty sweet. Have little battles in between.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. I don't know, dude. Is it cool? Like, I mean, is it cool? Do you think that's actually going to be cool?
I guess I would have to see it. I don't know. I mean, I just feel like it takes away from all the time you put into making your actual hilt look amazing, putting all that time into all your components, and then you just have that janky thing. I would want it to be optional. And honestly, when you think about it, if that was optional and then I decided, okay, instead of the telescoping, I want a full piece threaded on poly, that extendable mechanism on the inside, if it has the light strips like you were saying, that still would serve a purpose because then you would have your fade in effect as it's turning on and turning off.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it would still be functional in a way, but it's not my go-to, that's for sure.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
But as a kid, did we care? Truthfully.
I guess it's more for them. As a kid, we don't care. So there is like, I was trying to look for this stupid thing. So there is this like potentially conceptual model or drawing that, I mean, who knows? It's apparently a patent. It probably isn't the Disney one, but it could be something that's kind of showing this off. And it's got like a segment. And okay, so this is why I started thinking about rollers, because in this whatever drawing, there's like a bike chain kind of spokey mechanism with a couple of rollers in it. And I think that this does sort of like lend more credence to my, telescoping like metal center with a potential poly outer. Because again, in order to extend the poly section of this, you're gonna have to have something either in the center or some way to get both segments. But anyway, I don't know. The other thing too
is the only
other
thing I could think of to deal with the seam. I don't know how well this would work, but like if you sliced little strips on the second section, and then you would have something that would expand just enough for those to be expanded out to be the same diameter as the lower section, but then you have seams either way.
Dude, so, I think that, I don't know, man, for a toy,
that would be an expensive lightsaber at that point.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I think it's interesting. It's an interesting concept. I think they've done a really good job with the park sabers. Obviously, we want park sabers, but this is some big brain stuff that I'm probably not qualified to speak about. But I thought it was interesting.
And truthfully, maybe if your light source is strong enough, maybe you don't notice the seams as much. It's only when it's off. Who knows? The stuff we grew up with wasn't all that nice. We didn't have high intensity LEDs or anything like that.
No, ours kind of, they were sucky.
Yeah. Sound effects were terrible.
Yeah. No doubt, man. Well, we'll see. We'll see how it all comes out. The other thing is that I'll be honest, I really haven't read a ton of this, but we do have, some new kind of news here for this War of the Bounty Hunters kind of crossover, which is supposed to kick off with, I guess, like a main comic and then sort of break through the Vader Bounty Hunters, Dr. Aphra, and the main Star Wars comic line in July. And I guess this is kind of centered around Boba Fett and his precious cargo being potentially Han Solo. Yeah.
So do you think it's going to kind of cross over into every comic and we'll see it in the other, like, we'll see this within the mainline series and the Vader series as we go along, or?
Yeah, I mean, that's what it's supposed to be. It's just crossing over through all the comics. Like the story just continues on through, being told through the comics. And I assume that and again, you guys have probably read more about this than I have. I'll be honest, it'll be interesting when we see it, maybe. But it kind of looks like we're going to get this again. It's after Boba takes possession of Solo and Carbonite. So we're assuming that this is kind of the story of him getting to Jabba's palace before episode 6. So I don't know. Is that cool? Is that a story we need to tell or embellish? I guess we should say.
Well, I guess you kind of have to bring up other things that we've embellished in the comics, like Luke getting his lightsaber back. I mean, yes, it was more of a plot hole than this was, but was it something we really needed? It was cool, though, honestly.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It could be interesting. We'll see.
Yeah.
And it is kind of cool that it's doing this crossover with all the different comics and kind of bleeding into all these mini universes. So I mean it could be interesting. It's more literature,
And it's something that isn't centered around High Republic, so it's good to know that we're not just completely ignoring everything else.
Oh, dude, you said the magic word, man. High Republic. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
we're going to talk about some High
at
Republic
some point today.
We're going to talk about it here in a few. Don't you worry about that.
Why do you have almost the Rail Averos voice going on there for a second?
Hey, man,
Just
sometimes
felt
you gotta,
like it been too long.
Sometimes you just got to break out that Rail Averos. The really bad Southern accent, the space Southern accent, man.
Is it bad that I kind of wish at some point they would have like spliced him into Clone Wars, the animated series? God. Just like go back like George always loves to do with the movies, just like let's add Rail in this scene and have him make some comments. Just a little sprinkle of Rail all around.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, I mean, why not, man? Why not? Ah, good times. Well, I think that's fine for Star Wars news for right now. Unless you want to talk about an epic theory by one of our favorite YouTubers.
Yes, because you love your theories. Go ahead, what is it?
No, I don't give a crap. It's stupid. It's totally fake. But what if I told you? What if I told you that we had something like a movie based around an all new character that we have never seen before.
You've already lost me.
But what if I told you that this character that you've never seen before has a connection?
Was there from the beginning.
No, has a connection to a character that we're well acquainted with.
Well, it would kind of stand to reason. I mean, we've never really had that happen where they're not tied into someone else. I mean, look at Rey.
Okay, well, what if I told you that this character was a child?
The child?
No, just a child.
At some point, I would assume they would have been a child. Okay.
Okay, so what if I told you that this child... No, in all seriousness, not to drag this out, it's a stupid theory. I'm not even going to mention the YouTuber because it's just clickbait bullcrap and it's the same stuff over and over again. But as I was, going around for news, I'm not even going to mention the website either because it's another clickbait website that's always wrong. But basically, it was a story about like a potential new movie about a child of Rey.
Why? Why would we need that?
Hey, man, why not? Forced impregnation, bro. I mean, it happened.
Oh, what was it? Is it a Raylo baby?
Why not, dude? No, why not, dude? Just how it goes, bro. He learned how to manipulate midichlorians just like whoever did that with Anakin,
I passed away into the Force and then... I did essence transfer, and then...
All right, I'm done. It's a bunch of bullcrap. I just thought it was funny. All right, man. You ready to get into some Dr. Aphra?
Sure.
So, full disclosure, I'm not well-versed at all in Dr. Aphra.
Me either.
Neither of us are.
And I don't feel like we can really go based off of our audio drama very much.
Right. We did cover the audio drama, which, if I remember correctly, I think we were both okay about for most of it, but then the ending was kind of a little bit meh. Was that, am I remembering
I think the big
right?
thing with the audio drama is we just kind of got tired of the inflections and how she talked, and we don't have that problem here as much. But yes, the ending did kind of get bleh from a writing standpoint.
Well, if I remember, that it was just kind of like always the step ahead and like that was the thing where she was being pushed out of the airlock by Vader, but she was like lined with credits and somehow that saved her from the vacuum of space.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, and they were kind of nerfing Han Solo a bit in there as well. With the bees. Yeah. Wasn't like bees' nests.
Yeah, something like that. I think we made a reference to the bees, not the bees.
In my eyes. Yes, Nicolas Cage. What a fantastic actor. I do like Nick Cage movies. National treasures are national treasures.
That's right.
Gone in 60 Seconds. That was a good movie, too. I like that movie. All right. But, I read a little bit of the first series of the comics, which I think was 75 issues, but I was just never got onto it. And I am not one of those people who like to go back at all times. I kind of like to start things fresh. I'm just weird like that. But anyway, and 75 issues is way too much. But
That's a big undertaking.
Yeah.
That's why we're doing this instead of going back and reviewing those. This is manageable.
True that. So this series started in May of 2020. It had some delays, obviously due to COVID. Most comics did at that time. But we were going back and kind of not rehashing, but restarting essentially Aphra and sort of like post working with Vader, basically. And I don't know. I mean, Aphra is an interesting character, archaeologist, but also
very quirky personality.
I was going to say potentially insane. No, just
yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, no, she is. She's got a very quirky, offbeat, sense of humor.
Definitely a sociopath.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, unfortunately, yeah. Really could turn on a dime. but very smart and usually pretty well planned. You know what I mean? She usually has a plan for things, but is kind of in an almost a constant struggle to survive.
Yeah.
Even her friends turn on her.
I would say every plan requires turning on one friend and then getting another one to help, and then down the line doing the exact same thing with that friend that helped and then turning on them. So
yeah,
she's never safe, which is entertaining to an extent. It does get a little exhausting, but
she is what I would call probably like one of the, just a perfect comic book character.
Yeah. I would not want to watch a TV show about her.
Well, here's the thing. I wouldn't want to see a movie, but no. I could see how you could model a television show, because comics, I feel that comic book characters do lend pretty well to television just because of the sort of very quick and almost episodic nature of a comic. So I'm not saying that it would be the best thing in the world. It would really depend on the actress that you hire to play the Aphra.
Yeah, that'd be 90% of it, truthfully.
Yeah, it really would. I mean, they just have to really live the role. But I think that it would, I don't know. I don't think everybody would be on board necessarily.
I guess I could see if they did a Monster of the Week, only archaeological dig of the week, crazy adventure. I could see watching it for a little bit. It's just when you get into everything with Vader and these big organizations, that wouldn't lend to a TV show very well, but they definitely could dumb it down. They could do more of a Mandalorian style with it.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. I don't know, man. It could be interesting, but obviously we're in comic form. We've had the audio drama. I mean, I think if I remember correctly, I think that there was some talk about some maybe a movie with Aphra at one point. I don't know. It's fine. But anyway, so we have, again, the first 8 issues of our comic. We do have Aphra 9 coming out on the 21st of this month. And then basically, kind of like a one a month for the next couple months. There was quite a delay from the release schedule sometimes is what it is, but we had like November, and then it wasn't until like the end of January that we saw anything, and then it wasn't until the end of March. And anyway,
which is weird because I think it kind of just shows how delayed they were. I think the timeline that this started was around the same as like Vader and all the rest.
Yeah.
And we had 10 issues of those by the time we went through it, and we're still only on 8 here. So it really damaged the series quite a bit.
No, yeah, exactly. And a lot of those dropped at the same time. Vader, the reboot Star Wars line, Bounty Hunters, and Aphra. Just before we really start jumping in the issues, we will be making sure to catch up on the comics, because I think we want to make that a more segmentary thing for the shows going forward.
Yeah, like a variety hour almost.
Right. So just for everybody's information as far as, our schedule and what we're going to be doing, it won't be Bad Batch next week.
We fact-checked for this one.
We did. So in our next episode, we're going to work through Rebels Season 1, get into New Jedi Order after that, start pumping in some of the High Republic because we have 2 back issues of that to talk about. Then after that, we will be catching up with Bounty Hunters. After that, then at that point, we'll be hitting Bad Batch. And then finally, we'll probably have a joint episode between Bad Batch and then Thrawn Greater Good. Because I don't really want to push that off too long. But we're going to have to push it back, about 2 weeks from its release date. So that's sort of what we're going to be looking into. So you guys, if you want to view or read along with us and so forth before we get the episodes, you're more than welcome. Because we do spoilers. That's
Never.
How we do it.
No, we don't.
All right, my man. Let's go ahead and pop into issue 1 here. I guess let's ask this, because we talk about it vaguely, but out of the 8 issues, what was your favorite cover?
I believe. Let me just double check here. I have it on my phone from Comixology.
Well, while you're looking,
I would have to say my favorite would have to be 3.
3? The shattered like mirror thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's pretty sick. I personally like issue 4. I think that's my favorite one.
4 is pretty cool.
That's a pretty sick
Got
cover.
like a Lord of the Rings cover almost.
Yeah. I also have to say though, I got to give a shout out to issue 8.
Yeah.
With Aphra's
Just
kind of
dopey.
Well, the thing is like and this doesn't to address a little bit of the way that men and women are indeed looked at differently. When men make goofy faces, a lot of times it's laughed at. But when women make goofy faces, a lot of people view that as like, ew, don't do that. Yeah. I actually do think that it was a really kind of it was a good design here, because the cover for 8 is like it's like a scared face with like a scrunched scared face. You get a little bit of the double chin, but honestly, like from the things I know about Aphra and from what I've heard, it's like such a perfect face for her. You know, they're running away from an explosion. It's like one of those oh crap faces. And I remember getting it. I was like, that's like the perfect cover. That's a perfect cover for this series. So again, 4 is my favorite, but 8 honestly is really good. I really like 8.
Yeah. And actually another honorable mention that you won't see in this is the preview for 9. If you look at that at the end of 8, that's kind of funny. She's got like a kind of half insane, half dopey little cover where she's being shot at just looking at one of the rings.
Yeah. Yeah, that is kind of cool.
I'm sorry, it's like some kind of spear. It's not even the ring.
Yeah. Yeah, that is good. That is a good cover as well. I definitely agree with you there. So anyway, let's rock into issue 1 here. So these are, again, sort of split up into various story groups. So this first story group is issues 1 through 5 called Fortunes of Fate. Then we have 6 through 9, The Engine Job. And then finally 10 through 12, War of the Bounty Hunters. We're not, I haven't really looked up too much about where this series is going to go. I assume it'll be more than 12 issues, but that's what they have currently up right now. So again, this sort of storyline between issues 1 through 5 is essentially centered around the Rings of Power.
Yes. I wonder if at first
9
they're like, all right,
rings
we're going to do
were
one
gifted
ring of
to the
power.
races of men.
we
7
can't
to the
do one
dwarf
ring.
lords who dug down whatever. I can't remember the dialogue from Lord of the Rings. 3 to the elven lords, fair and all that good stuff, and then 1
2
ring
to a galaxy far, far away.
But all of them were deceived.
I wonder when they were doing the storyboard for this, like, all right, we're going to have a ring of power. I'm sorry, what? A ring of power. You better make that 2 so we don't get sued.
Yeah. Yes, well, okay, so the premise is that there are these 2 rings. One potentially grants immortality, but has the side effect of driving you mad. And then the other ring gives you endless fortune, but
it kills you quickly.
Yeah, but kills you quicker. And if you have both, you get both. And I don't know if the side effects go away.
Which is odd to me because, like, the ring of eternal life takes away the after effect of the ring of fortune, but the ring of fortune doesn't fix the insanity. So I just kind of wonder how they rationalize that away. I
don't know. I don't think that I really, I guess I didn't really understand that as much. But anyway, we start our comic with Aphra's crew doing a little job here, making some money, but we get the impression that it's been hard because like Vader they're actively after her. The Empire is actively after her. And then they are confronted by a student, Deta Yao, who's a grad student at the college or whatever university, whatever you want, space college that Aphra went to. And, she's buttering up Aphra. Oh, yeah, I took one of your classes. It was super sick, And then she shows the Rings of Power, and they kind of make a deal in order to...
Did you think at this point she was going to betray her?
Well, it's getting a little bit into the future here, but I didn't have a huge amount of confidence in her, to be honest with you. And then we meet another character here, and Professor Oka. What was her first name? Oh, for Pete's sake. Come on, man. You're the name guy. You're supposed to have all the name.
Sorry, I got stuck on the
Eustacia?
I'm trying to find it.
I think it's like Eustacia Oka.
Yeah.
Very interesting name. And this, of course, is one of Dr. Aphra's like former girlfriends, at the college, because she was...
Which I tried to look back. It's like, is this the girlfriend from the audio drama?
No,
and I don't believe it is.
No, it wasn't. So that was Sana Staros, which we do see later.
Yeah.
Now, we also have a kind of a third party here that is also after the rings of power from the tag like family, basically. Yeah. And we have some thugs, some hired thugs, good old
with
good
really
old
lame suits.
Yeah, they are kind of lame, but they are effectively tasked to bring the Doctor Oka with them and to retrieve the ring. Now, Dita here, she's got like an interesting little like poison Wolverine claw.
See, I was thinking Baraka, honestly.
Oh, yeah, Baraka. Yeah. Oh, I forgot about that. That is totally a Baraka thing. What a disgusting character Baraka was. Yeah. Anyway. So, yeah, I don't know. When she started like using like dirty poisoning tactics, that's when I started to have some concerns.
That's even weird for Aphra, and like
a little bit. Yeah. It's straight killing. I did think it was kind of interesting here. The Doctor's sort of like her little figurine she plays with to get these like automatons to attack the thug group. Like what is that, man?
Why did you have that on you randomly?
I mean,
what were you getting ready to do?
It's hilarious because I think the whole thing is she's picking it up, and then I don't know, maybe they're trying to protect this little idol, but it kind of looks like at first glance, without reading anything, like she's tapping it on, like playing like a little doll or something
almost.
Yeah. So that stops our thugs a little bit here, and then we sort of get the plan that our group of superheroes are going to go find these rings at let's see, what was the city? It was a planet Daneth, and effectively it looks like these rings had influenced this entire society, and they effectively went mad from the power.
Dianth was
Dianth, yeah. And that's kind of where we leave them. They're heading that way. Well, we meet our Ronin. I'm going to stick with Tag, or is that what I mean? Taggy? Do we want to pronounce the E like Helm Depot, or what are we doing?
I don't know why, but that's how I pronounced it reading the comics.
What, Taggy? Did you pronounce it Taggy? I'm going to say Tag. Yeah. I don't know, Tag. But anyway, we get kind of our villain for a little while, who likes rare art, but he also likes to be the last person to touch it.
Yes, he's our low-class Drosk, essentially.
Yeah, kind of. I guess it's interesting in a way. You are the last person to experience this exquisite treasure, but then he burns it.
Yeah.
Like he incinerates whatever rare pieces, and we kind of see him with a couple of artists, and he burns 2 pieces of art.
Yeah, weren't you kind of questioning that at first? Like, is he going to kill the artist that he likes the art from or something? Like, why are they so obsessed with their art being the one that's bad? I kind of had that thought too, but he didn't. He just burned the art. So there you go.
In issue 2, we get a little bit of a flashback for Aphra and gosh, I've already forgotten her name.
Eustasia.
Yeah, they're actually in the very beginning of the comic. So Professor Oka, and again, we get this little flashback to their sort of relationship at the university. Aphra being Aphra, falling asleep in class, but they do seem like they definitely had a thing. And I think one of the things we didn't necessarily resolve, like we sort of got with Staros, was kind of what happened to them. Mm-hmm. The only thing that I would probably say is that she probably moved on to Staros, and that's probably the end of that, I would assume.
Yeah, that's all I can imagine. Clearly, they had a little time together because she even recognized the droid and was excited to see it and everything. So
yeah. So well, anyway, it is what it is. Well, as we go into our second issue, we do get a message from old Tag, and he kind of
recorded message, right?
True. Right. Yes, pre-recorded message that's sliced through one of the droids. And he basically gives him a warning. It's like, if you're going to go against me, you'll regret it, basically. Classic evil villain stuff. Well, of course they are. And then we get the story about Aphra, because she's always connected to everybody. And basically...
I did some dealings with these people. They're kind of crappy.
Yeah. Well, she did a job, but doesn't want to see this stuff
like
destroyed.
Coral, I think that he was going to destroy, something like that.
Yeah, coral. Yeah. From Alderaan. It was like a rare piece of coral from Alderaan. So instead of letting him destroy stuff, she basically stole all of his stuff. And he had to rebuy it on the black market.
Yeah. And I love, like, right after that panel, there's another one where she's, like, sitting on a bench, waving, just explaining the story. It's like, that's just classic Aphra right there.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, we haven't identified kind of another character here. We have Lucky. Just Lucky. Yeah. Who's kind of like
the villain.
Well, he's kind of like our sniper, Mm-hmm. We also have
old Black K.
Yeah, Chrysanthemum. Black Chrysanthemum, whatever. Crustacean. Chrysanthemum, yeah, I'm
Black
sorry.
Chrysanthemum.
We'll just call him Big K for now. But the Wookiee that we had in the audio drama. Mm-hmm. Once we sort of get to Danath and get into the city, we see all of these almost like living walls with faces in them, and the team here starts to react in different ways. Lucky starts hearing a high-pitched sound. Data starts to, she sees the walls move, and it seems like there's something going on here, or they're hallucinating. They all had mushrooms.
Yeah.
Bad mushrooms.
Space mushrooms.
Yes. So we eventually make our way into the ruins, and this is sort of where we start to get references to the High Republic, okay? Which is going to be fairly central. Digs at the High Republic, the Nihil's travel. So again, we're like really trying very hard to tie into the High Republic, which is fine, but it just
slightly annoyed me, slightly didn't, because out of all these series we're going through, it makes sense for them to be referenced in this because she would be interested in that time period as an archaeologist. It makes more sense than the main series, Leia and Lando randomly having a conversation about the Nihil when we saw them in so many movies and they never mentioned them once. So
yeah, and this is unfortunately something that does come up, and I think it's valid. Most people don't have any problem with inclusion of really anything. But when you come at it with such a heavy hand, it's sometimes just, it's like, oh, yeah. It's like saying the movie title in a movie. We were all in a clear and present danger.
Well, and the problem is we're making such a big deal about the High Republic before we realize why we care about the High Republic. Because we don't have enough content out yet to be like, oh, yeah, this was the most amazing time. This is bigger than the Old Republic. We had so many amazing characters and abilities and stories and sagas. No, we know next to nothing about it, and it's just being shoved down our throat.
Yeah, correct. And actually, as you were talking, I was actually trying to think about the release date of our first High Republic book. So here's the thing. Aphra was starting to be launched in 2020. The High Republic didn't start coming out until this year. Right. So we essentially almost had a full year before we started even really reading about the High Republic and having that buy-in. So to have all that, I mean, now we're reading all these again, and it's not a big deal because we've read some High Republic books. But
then you have to factor in the delays and everything. We probably would have had even more content about. I would assume the next few episodes are going to, the next few issues are going to mention more about the High Republic. So we would have had a ridiculous amount mentioning the series that we know nothing about for almost a year.
It's true. It's true. So let's continue because we're still in issue 2. We wind up going into the fabled workshop of the architects. The
Dwarven workshop.
Yeah, exactly. And there's this, picture on the ground with, oh, hey, look, 2 rings. I wonder what we're going to find. Eventually we get to a large door. The hallucinations start getting crazier. We have like some zombie guy on the floor, which Aphra just, wasted. The hallucinations are getting a little bit worse for everybody. And, we're not getting the rationale yet, but we are starting to see that there's something very wrong. And then the floor collapses.
Yeah.
And basically half of our team is kind of plummeted. Aphra is sort of saved from this by Dita, and then they are, pretty much held hostage by our hired thugs.
How convenient. They're just right there.
That's right. And in issue 3, we start to question that. Mm-hmm. Seems like there might be some sort of spy in our midst.
A spy? Yes, a spy.
Yes. Well, anyway, our thugs apparently aren't very, intimidating thugs because we're going to beat it out of you, Aphra. No, hey, get us the rings now. We've got guns, I guess.
And then they're, infighting on how to deal with her and everything, and Dita's just off flirting with one of them. It's just, you guys aren't very well organized, are you?
No, well, the thing is they're like the worst thugs in the world because, one, they actually kind of make a deal with Aphra to have her effectively get the ring for
held at gunpoint.
Yeah, well, and the thing is I'll get it for you for a piece of the whatever the price.
Right.
And the professor, Lucky, and old Big K, they do survive, and they kind of hear the talking, and they're like, oh, geez, she's selling us out. That's so Aphra and everything. And we also start to see some of the booby traps, because our thugs are stupid. They're not only soft, but they're stupid. We get one that's just basically, I don't know, what would you say, incinerated, maybe?
Yeah, well, he's not quite incinerated. You see the body, but he's toasted.
Toasted, yeah. Just lightly. I mean, this is setting 6 on the toaster?
Yeah, I mean, just a little bit of brown. Just throw a little butter on there right away, because otherwise it's not going to melt. That's true. Yeah, and Dita, she does ham it up. She hams it up to everybody, and that's, kind of her thing. And then, oh yeah, by the way, there's hands. Yeah.
There's mechanical hands that come up through the floor like Zelda Mario, excuse me. I was thinking of Mario 64 with the hands. You remember the hands that you fight in the whatever sand level? And the hands take care of the thugs, but they don't really kill them because we see them later. And then there's zombies, but not really zombies. And then there's 2 different rooms. Did this one confuse you at all?
Yeah, a little bit, honestly. It's the way that they're setting up the rooms. Is this one of those as above, so below things where they're intersecting right in the middle, and then something's weird. Something really weird's gonna happen when they get there. It's like, no, just one of the rings is missing. So that's cool.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, there are 2 rooms, and the professor and Lucky and Big K they actually find one of the rings. However, in the room that Aphra and Dita go into, there's nothing there. There's like a display case with nothing in it. At this point,
display case way too big for a ring, by the way.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, it's a super display case. Like a sword or something should go in there. But Aphra does start to call out Dita on her BS, essentially. She's like, listen, you kind of remind me of me. We had a hard time at the college and stuff, and like you're trying to prove your point, and you're hamming it up a little bit, trying to get your way, and I get your game. We obviously don't trust each other. And then, hey, everybody's back together again, and Dita just goes like, oh, Professor, you're my favorite person. Don't let Aphra hurt me.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, she instantly turns on the professor, and I thought they were going to do this weird thing where, like, she convinces them all that she's the traitor or something, and they all turn on her.
Well, so here is the thing. Dita does want the ring, and she is double-crossing them. But
it's like a mild double cross.
Very true. And it winds up that Lucky has the ring.
Right.
Little bait and switch. And here's one thing that confused me. So Aphra shoots Dita in the back, but she's okay, though.
Doesn't kill her. It was not a stun blast, but that's fine.
Yeah, that was a little confusing to me. But then we actually learn who the traitor is, and of course it is Lucky. Old Lucky Strike.
Precious, old Lucky. My precious.
So Lucky is working for Tag. And we find out, a little later that there's some stuff with his brother, and apparently his brother's like a degenerate gambler.
Yeah, so you're just doing all this work to pay off his debt. This is stupid.
Well, Lucky is like a classic mercenary type, who with the sort of archetype that he only cares about like his like a family, somebody close to him. That's all he cares about, and he'll do whatever it takes, to save him or whatever. Well, the thugs, again, the hands didn't kill them, so they're back.
Literally, we had one thug die from the laser. One gets kicked into an abyss. He's back.
Yeah, he's back. He's fine. Dita didn't get him. I mean, and again, Lucky and his team kind of bury them in rocks. Well, they bury this little hatch with rocks, and they get away. Well, now Professor's like, you know what? I've had enough of all of your crap. Okay, I hate all of you. I've lost all faith in humanity. You all suck. I like the Professor. She's funny.
Yeah.
But, Dita is, she's a very vulnerable person. She's a student. She's a kid. Mm-hmm. She obviously wanted something because she wasn't being taken seriously, but she's pretty downtrodden at this point. And anyway, we do find that there is a way out to go through the garbage.
We haven't seen this scene before.
Not at all. But they are able to, get out of their predicament and back to a ship. However, classic style, the ship and the city are bombed. Tag's fleet is there, and they just destroy basically everything, which of course fits his MO because he destroys stuff. Last person, blah, blah, blah. Moving on here, Lucky does bring the ring to Tag. Of course, you get that wasn't the deal we made. Pray I don't alter it further.
Okay, this is a plot point that I don't like. Going forward, I don't want to jump too far ahead and mention some things. But his issue is that he only brings him one of the 2 rings.
And he doesn't bring him the doctor.
But he has the other ring.
I think true.
How are you going to punish him for doing something that is literally impossible?
Well,
I thought that was kind of stupid. Yeah, he's a bad guy, but I just thought it was kind of stupid.
Well,
Maybe that was just his way of bargaining and then being able to retract some of the payment. I don't know.
So here's the thing. Yes, the Darth alludes to something we learn much later. Tag actually does have one of the rings, which was like a family heirloom. The issue is, in my mind, he wanted the Doctor because he wanted to vaporize the rings in front of the Doctor because that's how he gets off. He's a weird dude. All right.
Very.
So I don't think it, the ring, it wasn't a huge deal. I think if he would have brought the Doctor, I think that Lucky probably would have gotten whatever. I don't think he would have brought up the ring at that point, but I think he was more angry that he didn't bring the Doctor. Maybe. That's just what I'm thinking. But I understand what you're saying. Well, we can't end this without a Dr. Aphra plan. They do find an old ship that is able to fly, and they are, in quotations, captured by Tag's forces that are still patrolling the planet. And we move into issue 5. Which, you know what? Honestly, most of the covers in this lineup are pretty cool. Even issue 5's cover. I feel like
we had more
cool.
issues with every other comic line than this one with the covers. They're all very well done.
Yeah.
In their own way.
Yeah, agreed. So issue 5, we are brought to Ronin's here at Canto Bite. Can't forget Canto Bite.
Canto Bite. Rich people up Canto Bite.
Yeah, exactly. And this is where we get the reveal that Ronin did indeed have the other ring. And here's kind of an interesting thing. So here's Aphra's plan. She wants to test the rings, in quotations. So her plan is give both of the rings to the professor, put her in your disintegration chamber. If the lore is right, then she'll survive. And now you have 2 rings and you're like a god dude. But if she doesn't, then you've set out to do what you wanted to and you destroy the stuff and you've killed the Doctor. So you should really be able to have a nice time in your bathroom tonight or whatever he does after that.
But here's the thing. Okay, 2 things. 1, I saw the twist coming a mile away on this.
Sure, yeah.
2, as a character, he wouldn't have done that. He would not have sent her in there with those rings. Do you know why? Because his thing is being the last person to touch the artifact.
Well, yeah,
so
that's true.
He wouldn't get his little pleasure kick from that. Unless he put gloves on her and then touched the rings and then put them on.
I mean, I think that's. I definitely think that's being very finite about it. It's true, but
yeah, especially for a comic, I get that. It's just, you try and build a character with all these quirks, then you kind of just you don't focus on the quirks anymore. It just kind of bugs me. Yeah. But no, I'm being very nitpicky here.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. However, Aphra again with her plan, her little droid's doing some work, and apparently still produces a beam of light, but it doesn't disintegrate her or something.
Yeah.
Sure. Technology.
Just like the blaster shot in the back.
Right.
Although this is actually explained at least.
Huh?
At least this is actually explained.
Yeah, true enough. Well, anyway, Ronin has both rings now, so he's super cool. Oh, dude, I've got my rings and everything. I'm invincible.
I'm not destroying these now, yeah.
Well, this is when Aphra's second part of her plan. She punts him into the
automatic door room where he can't get out.
Yeah. And, I mean, gosh, you talk about Dr. Aphra and her violence. She's basically going to disintegrate him.
Right.
Dita is going all Baraka, and we'll say that now. Mm-hmm. Just, poisoning.
Just kind of, again, shows how stupid these thugs are. How does she not get shot?
Yeah, it's pretty wild. And then we do have an explosion here, with Ronin effectively caught in that. And they get away. They basically get away. We do see Lucky's brother in this one, though. He's gambling, as we kind of said before. But Aphra and friends are able to escape. And there you go. She gets an attaboy. I'm proud of you from the professor. And, Dita's like, I'd hug you, professor, but I think my ribs are bruised. So they're back to being friends. And the professor stole something, which is, super sick. And they're basically done. They're basically done with the professor and Dita, which I thought was kind of a little unceremonious. But now, okay, let's talk about these rings, though. So Ronin is technically alive.
Right.
He's just very badly burnt.
You know what that reminded me of a little bit? Two-Face.
No. I was doing the old Austin Powers with Will Ferrell, if you remember that one.
Yeah.
I'm still alive. I'm just very badly burned. So they do take him away, but he speaks. He doesn't have the rings on anymore. Lucky does take, I believe it's the Ring of Fortune, right? Is that the red ring?
Yep.
But he doesn't take the Ring of Immortality. So here's a question, which we do not get answered here necessarily. Is Ronan still alive?
Right. At this point, I felt like he was.
Yeah. Well, the very final part of this issue is that we do see Lady Domina, who is kind of like the matriarch of the Tag family, and she is now after Dr. Aphra. Moving on into episode 6. Oh, let's see here. We get an insect bounty hunter.
Yes.
And effectively, this comic is actually pretty easy to explain. But essentially, we get Domina, who is kind of running the universe. We do get a couple panels of what looks like dead Ronan, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's dead.
Mm-hmm.
I think we'll see him again.
No,
I think that there will be
he's
some
alive.
credence to the rings.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think that it'd be kind of interesting if we get to see Lucky slowly go insane, which I don't know. With the way they explain the city, it almost feels like the city's what makes you go insane, not the ring.
Actually, good point, because they did say that it was actually like a safety mechanism for those who created the rings. It was actually the city driving them insane. But I mean, still, do we know if the rings do anything?
Right, because
I don't
did
know.
anyone ever actually... Clearly, the ring's still there. Did anyone get the ring out of the city long enough to test and see if it's the city or the ring? That's what we're going to find out, hopefully, in the next few issues coming up. Very true.
So the majority of this particular comic can be summed up pretty quickly. Aphra is captured. Lucky, Bug Guy are taken to Domina. And again, like Aphra always being the one-up, she does take out the insect guy with his own poison darts, takes his blaster. But the thing is that Domina didn't bring Aphra here to kill her. She brought her here for a job. And she doesn't care at all about her nephew, which Ronan was her nephew. Doesn't care at all about him. Basically, like, that was a test to get you here. Can you take care of him? Here you go. But as prepared as Aphra likes to be, Domina is also very well
10
prepared.
steps ahead, you could say.
Yes.
Especially when they're having their little meeting. It's like, well, I mean, why don't I just shoot you?
Yeah. So she does sort of have like that little energy field of no oxygen.
Yeah. I don't know if I liked her or not. Like she mentions, it's like him. It's just like him.
Well, it's kind of like that
PTSD
issue,
a bit.
Well, it's that issue of being powerless that she struggles with against more powerful people because she doesn't have the force. She doesn't have like the technology to like, I don't know, choke people. So I think it's a bit of that powerless thing that we saw pretty prevalently in the audio drama, her struggle with that. But anyway, we get this job, which is to retrieve the Path engine from a Nihil ship.
Mm-hmm.
So what we know now, and what we wouldn't have known then, but what we know now, the paths of the Nihil came from effectively a Force-ish sensitive navigator who was a part of the Santeca clan. What was her name? Do you remember her name still? Don't worry.
Is it like Anna or something like that?
I can't remember. It's it's been a while since we've done High Republic, but effectively, the Nihil or one the Eye was using this Santeca effectively to create paths or chart paths. So the uniqueness of their drive wasn't anything to do with their drive. It was the paths that they were able to plot to take, which caused trouble, which is kind of what the Great Disaster was about, because effectively a Nihil ship and a carrier ship collided in light speed.
Hyperspace, basically.
Yeah. So all the pieces of that ship broke apart and were still traveling at light speed, which the impacts would cause massive events and kill a lot of people. Legitimately, even before you knew it happened, if you were on the ground, like we had the one scene. But anyway, you can go back and hear about the High Republic. We've done those book reviews, or just read them for yourself. But anyway, they think it's a drive, like it's a mechanism, which it isn't. We already know this, but they don't know this yet, which is kind of the advantage of us.
There's literally nothing they can do to recreate this, which, thank God, because that would just destroy this timeline if that was available.
No doubt. So anyway, Aphra is heading to Corellia to meet up with Sana Starros, and we do get a pretty cool panel of her at the very end, kind of showing her off. And that was one of the things that I said with the audio drama. It's like, can we just do like a Sana Starros story?
Right, and I did a little bit of research on her character outside of Aphra. There's really not a whole lot, but like she supposedly at one point claimed to be married to Han Solo, and she was a decently high up member of the rebellion for a short time, and she's definitely an interesting enough character to go over. I would love to see more about her.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, we did get a little bit of that in the audio drama, because she was effectively working for Leia at the time. So, yes. But yeah, she did have the point where she, had kind of lied about being married to Han Solo. Issue 7. Now, I remember when I went to the comic shop, the guy there had ordered like several issues of this. Apparently, and I don't know the artist, but apparently he really geeked out about the artist of this cover. I do have to say the cover's good, but if I actually look at, I think Sana was done really well, but I think that this Aphra is like least like Aphra as I would picture her.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't know. It's not bad, but like I look at the other covers, and again, like I said, my favorite cover was 4, and I think that they really accentuated sort of like the Asian influence and everything, which I think is great.
4 had the most time put into the art aspect of it. I mean, it's just a sick cover, dude. Beautiful. It's such a good cover, but I don't know. I feel like this is like a completely different character on this cover. There's no emotion. It's just a very bland drawing of her, I think.
Yeah. Now here's the other thing though too. Issue 8 was done by the same artist.
Big difference though, I would say.
Yeah, I know, because I love 8. Yeah. I think 8 really accentuates Aphra. I don't know. There was just something. It's like they put so much into Sana Starros in this, which again, sick. But I think it's like
ran out of time for her.
It's like, it just doesn't. Whatever. Let's go ahead and jump in here. So we get kind of the meeting between Starros and Aphra. Aphra just kind of lets herself in, making tea.
I love this so much. It's super entertaining.
Well, yeah. I mean, the thing is like, as cute as like her and the professor's relationship was, it's very clear to me that the actual, like, kind of like almost soulmate level thing is clearly her and Sana. It's clearly that.
I mean, you can kind of blame that on the audio drama. We had so much time listening to her talk about Sana. It's just, there's just so much character development there.
Yeah, that's true. We probably are a little tainted from that particular write-up, but yeah, I mean, I like it. I think that it was really cool.
We could literally be saying that in like half of the 75 issues of the old series is about Eustasia and her together. We could be complete idiots right now.
Well, yeah, it just wasn't our time. Yeah. So anyway, Sana does kick her out and so forth, but because she effectively wants to. The real reason there are ulterior motives, but the main reason is she wants, in quotations, an introduction to another
Praxia.
Proxima, right? Was it Proxima? Yeah. Who, of course, we saw in Solo.
Of course, she wouldn't know her.
Yeah. Well, anyway. So we pick up back with Lucky as well, who's basically fired. His contract was with Ronan. That contract's done. So he's fretting a little bit because, again, his brother's... He's not even like gambling. He's just playing the slots, dude.
Right.
What a terrible thing, man.
It's like, stop him. Just throw him in jail for a few days. Get him in the drunk tank or something.
Well, he's like a kid, but the problem is Lucky is an enabler, and instead of like dealing with the kid, he takes a job, and he's basically an assassin for what was this? Wen Delphus, who's leader of the Sixth Kin.
Yeah, kind of almost reminds you a bit of Trench.
True.
Might be the same species, truthfully. I'm not sure. Well,
I mean, for me, I kind of... That does make sense. I kind of thought more like this was like a smaller Proxima.
Oh, yeah. Could be.
But who knows? Definitely seedy underbelly stuff. But he takes a job to pay off his brother's debts, which apparently he's done multiple times.
Right. And he's okay with doing. I mean, clearly this guy likes him.
Yeah.
Kind of messes with him a little bit, but he's definitely his favorite.
Oh, yeah, definitely. There is an interesting relationship between, this leader and Lucky.
It's almost like a Jabba Han relationship in a way. It's like,
yeah,
I've tried to kill you, but my boy, you're the best smuggler I have.
Very true, dude. Very true. That's a good point. So we do get back to Aphra and Sana, and Aphra, has somebody steal some like moldy looking donuts. What are these, dude?
I got you some Dunkin' Donuts. You want some Dunkin' Donuts? Can you forgive me for some Dunkin' Donuts?
I like how they even put in bold lettering, sweet rolls. No, dude, that is a moldy.
Like
that is a moldy
sweet
donut.
rolls. What are we talking about right now?
Sweet rolls. Oh, goodness. Well, she does get her introduction to Proxima, who, of course, already knows Aphra, but
she's not very burnt. It's kind of odd.
Nah,
she'd be a little more sunburnt.
She healed. It's cool, bro. Well,
in like return, the idea of Han just killing her in that movie. Honestly,
nah, dude.
I would have been okay with that.
Well, yeah, it's kind of a weird character. So, Aphra offers her a priceless bracelet in order for some information about this, potential drive spider, which leads us to another guy who I don't even think it's really worth mentioning. He's just getting beat up. Mm-hmm. Oh, by the way, those bracelets, they're bombs.
Yeah. How'd you take the time to paint all those? Like, well, that's what I was doing last night while I was waiting for you to wake up.
Yeah. Well, Aphra's, to get to the end of this comic, because we are running a little long here, but Aphra and Staros do get away with a data pad, which allows them to figure out where this drive spider... I like calling it a drive spider because it's got little legs. It's a drive spider.
Yeah.
So they get away with that, and they're on their way to find Drive Spider. So finally here, let's wrap up and go through issue 8 real quick. And you know what? I got to say, the very first page, I actually do like that they tell you who's all in this. They almost have like a character
a little bounty
credit
wanted
page.
Sheet.
Yeah. I like that. I actually do kind of like that. That's cool. All right. So we get to did we mention what planet this was? Did I blow past that in our previous episode or issue?
Might have. I'm not sure.
Doesn't matter. I don't care. I don't care. But hey, there's one of those elephant dudes, like in Jabba's palace. He's gonna start playing the keyboard behind the bar. He's sick. And this. Here we go. Dulhar Hyde. It's in the Outer Rim. Really kind of cool planet. It's full of like these almost like Dr. Seuss trees. What was what was the one with the trees? Was that
Felicia.
No, my dude. The Dr. Seuss book. Which one was?
I'm sorry. I was thinking Star Wars.
No, man. The you know, where the Sneeds and the stupid sweaters and the whatever, the mustache guy who had to teach the stupid guy a lesson, and then then eventually there was like a tree, like, you know, another kid who like blah blah. I can't anyway. It doesn't.
Man, I
matter.
feel like we've all blocked out one or two Seuss stories because
Dr. Seuss is like
Dr.
Seuss is like canceled now anyway, isn't he? So it doesn't matter.
Dr. Seuss was just like mild horror in a way. It's like super creepy stuff.
I'll be honest. I was never a huge fan of Dr. Seuss books as a kid. I like Shel Silverstein, like his poem books better. Mm-hmm. Anyway, this is an interesting. We just lost
like half our audience.
I don't care,
but it's okay.
Where the sidewalk ends was sick. So this is actually kind of an interesting thing, and I feel like this is going to come up again in a book, because we have this planet that is literally filled with Nihil ships that had effectively like materialized in the trees. So
how that happened.
Right. And it makes me start to wonder if this was a battle and these things were shot down and they were just absorbed in the trees, or, and I've been trying to remember his name, the eye of the Nihil, Marchion Ro. Marchion Ro.
I feel like I get an ulcer every time I say his name that way.
His vocal patterns in the audio drama were funny. If you haven't, anyway. So Marchion Ro, it's almost like was he trying to thin the herd and maybe gave them paths that, you know, led to their death?
Right, and it's interesting because obviously we know in the book it only happened once that we know of so far in the series, but Aphra actually makes the comments like, yeah, this was happening all the time. It was just popping up all over the place. Like, I wonder if that was almost a rite of passage. Like, if you failed to be initiated, you'd get like a crappy ship and be sent off to a mission and just get killed off.
Here's another thought. Maybe this was the Jedi's solution to the Nihil problem. Maybe they were able to hack in and like maybe they were able to hack in or something, give bad paths to the Nihil, which eventually led to their effective extinction. You know,
it'd be sweet if what's our dude that's going to be the leading character in the next book that we're excited about of the trio?
Oh my gosh. Was it like Rios or Stellan Gios?
Stellan Gios.
Yep.
Stellan Gios has some crazy force powers, and so does the other dude that does the rain thing.
Yeah, I know.
Wouldn't it be kind of cool if they came up with like this crazy force power where they were actually able to hack into computers?
Well, and the other thing too, to be a little bit more forcey about it, I mean, what if he somehow like goes Pathfinder or any of them, could be Alvar Chris as well, but like somehow they go like Pathfinder mode and literally take control of the Nihil ships, like going through warp, Star Wars, light speed, and Star Trek, I meant, warp Star Trek's light speeds here. Anyway, like somehow took control of it, their navigation or something, and just blopped them in the tree planet or something. That'd be interesting, man. That'd be power, dude.
Yeah. Or like, I feel like that would be opening up a big old can of worms. I feel like a easier way they deal with that is like, they contacted, what's her name? And convinced her that Marchion's evil, and she just starts doing this to destroy the Nihil or something.
Oh, you know what? And we can't discount her either because she's not dead. She's still alive. Right. What if someone did finally get a hold of her and she's like, I'm going to give them bad pass. These SOBs have been using me for years, man. I'm going to start screwing them.
Or like she was always so nice and mild-mannered. Like maybe from the beginning she was like, this is BS. At one point she's like, Marchion, you've been a bad, bad boy.
Oh, dude.
Time for you all to pay.
That would be, you know, honestly, that would probably be one of the most satisfying endings to Marchion Ro.
Yes.
Like he's like on the cusp of like winning something, and then all of a sudden his ships just start materializing and blowing up or some stuff like that. And he's looking around, what is happening? You've been a bad boy, Marcion. I've known all along.
Yeah, and she just takes herself out with him on the ship. It's like, this is done. And I'm sorry, like with how he treated her, and I even mentioned it in our review, like it was kind of some dark stuff for Star Wars. Yeah. That would be super satisfying.
Dude, we've written the book. We've already written the series. We already know how it ends. We don't need to read it anymore. We're
about to get canceled. We are about to get canceled.
Dude, but honestly, that would be a spectacularly satisfying end to Marcion.
I would love it. And then all the Jedi would just be like, yay, we won. Good for us.
I need to...
They wouldn't even know about her. Like, they wouldn't even know what happened.
I need to look up her name.
Freaking amazing.
I'm going to try and find her name because I think we're talking so much about her that I really think we need to oh my goodness, this is going to be hell. This is going to be hell finding this person's name.
Just look up like High Republic Senteca, Marcion Rowe or something like that. I don't know.
Oh my god, but dude. This is. I don't want to. Oh, that keeps just.
Are there that many Sentecas? Truthfully, that it'd be hard to filter through them. I don't know off the top of my head.
This is a super efficient podcast.
Well, when we come up with amazing ideas that Disney needs to pay us for on the spot, it's hard to be prepared.
Yeah, no, I am like, I know that this isn't the focus of this podcast, but I really...
Is it Marcy Senteca?
No, that's not it. Trust me, we'll know it when we hear it finally. This is so stupid, dude. Mari Senteca.
Mari.
So, yeah, I think that, it would be fitting if Mari Senteca just took control and she bopped them all. I got to say, that would be the most satisfying thing to me now. And if that doesn't happen, I am never watching Star Wars again.
Isn't that sad that would be the most satisfying thing that Disney has done, other than, like, bringing Luke back for a minute?
No, dude, I mean, there's plenty of satisfaction in Star Wars, but I gotta say, like, yeah, now that that's in my head, now that me and you have, like...
now, isn't it?
Yeah, now I really want her to take her revenge. Oh, dude, okay, so we gotta finish this comic here. We also learned that apparently Dr. Aphra, like, still can't, climb anything. Her D-ring snaps. What is up with that?
Right, how?
That made no sense. It wasn't a mistake by her. It literally just snapped.
Yeah.
It was almost like Sana tried to kill her.
Couldn't blame her.
And listen, she literally bops on like her neck. She got tombstone pile drived, okay?
Right.
The Undertaker like took her down below, okay? He buried her in the casket. All right, that's some WWF stuff there.
It was almost some anime stuff. How ridiculous it was that she didn't die.
Yeah, for sure. But
like
I mean,
Naruto stuff.
Well, there's a lot of surviving explosions, which is just ridiculous. So anyway, we do get a bit of a pause in the action to find Lucky, just killing a dude.
Just singing.
Yeah, that was kind of...
It didn't seem like him to me.
Yeah.
Like, I like the idea of an assassin enjoying his job and acting like it's so normal. I like that character trope, but I don't think it works with Lucky.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we just really haven't had a lot of time with him yet. By the
way, we do get a little scene with our Canto Bite horse things that were so important.
I was gonna gloss past that. But we do also, it's fine. We do also meet a new character, a lieutenant in the Sixth Kin, Areoli U? I don't know.
Sure.
Something like that. Apparently they're very well acquainted. I mean, like Lucky calls this person sweetheart.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of weird. It's like that bruise I put on your brother. It's like, really?
Yeah. I mean, I assume we're going to figure out more about this character and if, whatever, if it's just like a playful thing or if they're, I don't know. But we'll see. We'll see. Moving on, Aphra's doing some cutting and splicing, and they figure out that, basically the spider thing is kind of nothing.
Right. Doesn't even have the right hyperdrive, I believe it says.
Yeah.
For what they were looking for.
And it'll be interesting to see if throughout the pace of this comic that Aphra learns about the paths, like how it really happened, or if it's just going to stay a secret.
Well, there was going to have to be a way to mold this into our current timeline. So, again, I feel like out of all the characters to expound on it, an archaeologist makes sense. It does.
Yeah, for sure. Well, anyway, some more thugs show up. I just don't care.
Thugs.
I don't care about these hired thugs.
They're all red shirts.
Yeah, they kind of, to me, unfortunately, they are. Aphra's trying to download information. They're getting shot at. Elephant guy's dead.
Dude. That's crap.
Yeah, what a terrible thing. Everybody in the bar's dead. Effectively we end this comic with the potential that that the Doc and Sana are like plummeting to their death as well.
Did
her
they
little
die? No, yeah, because you scroll one page over and they show the next issue. It's like obviously they didn't die.
Well, true, but her Sana's little Gatling gun grapnel didn't quite do what it was supposed to do. Went a little limp noodle on him. If we survive
this, I swear I'm buying one of those. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, our last panel. Well, I always figured I'd die with you. That's not the plan.
Yeah. Do you trust me? No, not at all. Good.
Technically not our last panel because we get our thugs like nobody could survive that. See?
Yeah, the most generic line ever.
Yeah. So let's do a little bit of an overarching rating here. For our first couple of issues in our kind of fortune and fate with the rings, what did you think about that? Do you want to? Well, let's give ratings per like series. So the first actual the first arc. What would you give that? Say you want to do it out of 5 or out of 10?
What have
books
we done
are kind of like
that?
Comics, and we do books on a scale of 5.
Do out of 5. Okay.
Yeah, let's do 5.
Honestly, this was probably my favorite of the 3, so I'd give it like a 4.5. Mm-hmm. I thought it was pretty good. I enjoyed it. It was definitely. It had a Raiders vibe to it. I liked it. It's pretty sweet. Yeah,
I kind of got that, kind of like Indiana Jones sort of thing, and that was fun. So yeah, I actually would probably agree. I think a 4.5 is pretty good for that sort of first arc. It felt pretty nice, because again, we don't know much about Aphra, but it was a good view into Aphra. Mm-hmm. So again, the engine job is not complete. We still have one more comic, so I don't think we should rate it now. But what's your vibe about this second arc?
I'm iffy with High Republic still. I'm kind of hesitant to give a rating at all because what I feel like is a good rating now, when we get 3 more High Republic books, might be a terrible rating, and it was actually a really good piece of information. So I'm going to be pretty forgiving with it.
Well, see, I don't think we should give it a rating right now.
Yeah,
because
I'll say that I'm interested in it. It has kept my interest.
Yeah, for me, I do think it's more of a prop for the books because, again, this series, the first one came out the 25th of November, then the 20th of January, when High Republic was released somewhere in January. And then we're getting after the fact, after some of the High Republic has sort of been out. So, for me, I'll say this. I think that it's interesting, but I also, kind of am ready for the next sort of arc.
Yes. definitely.
And the only reason I say that is because I don't really particularly think that everything should be utilized to prop up High Republic. High Republic's either good or it's not. You either enjoy it or you don't. I just don't see the need to have everything point to it.
Right, and to me, the part of that series that's interesting, or that arc is interesting, is our matriarch of the family.
Yeah.
I think she's a pretty interesting character. I'm interested to see what goes on with her and how she ties into other characters in that timeline. You know, what's the big deal about her? Why is she important?
Right. Well, the only thing that I'm worried about is because the next arc is labeled War of the Bounty Hunters. So I feel like we're just going to like dust the Tag family off for a while and then deal with this War of the Bounty Hunters thing when it's like, but maybe I just want to see the story go. And honestly, for me, the most interesting thing is, the relationship between Aphra and Sana. Like, I wanted more Sana Staros after the audio drama, and now I'm getting it at least in comic form. So can we just have them do cool stuff?
One more issue.
And I kind of feel it like she's going to go away for a little while.
Who knows?
Well, I doubt it. But yeah, I mean, you never know, obviously. So we'll see. We will see. Mm-hmm. But an interesting start. I think, I don't know, man. I think this was a better start than the audio drama.
I would agree. Yeah. I didn't feel fatigued at all. And I literally read them back to back. I didn't just
no doubt
spread it out. So, yeah, I enjoyed every bit of it, truthfully. There were some little things, if you're getting really nitpicky, which you probably shouldn't with a comic series.
Yeah.
But, ultimately the storytelling is pretty good in it. The character development it's too early to really talk about character development. I mean, we don't get much with Big K, and, Lucky's just kind of for right now, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. So anyway, folks, I think that's about it for the comics. Man, anything else we want to chat about before we kind of start the sign-off?
I think we're ready to wrap up.
All right. Well, you guys know what to do. Make sure to follow us on all the social medias at TC Plan Podcast on Twitter, Facebook. You can also send us emails. Let us know what you thought about, any of the stuff we're going over, any topics that you think should be discussed on the podcast. Be more than happy to hear from you. Again, as far as emails, if you want to do a little bit more long form, tcplanpodcast@gmail.com. Love to hear from you. And, we'll discuss what we can. If you have a good thought or good theory or reaction to what we're doing, we'd again, how many times do I have to say it? We'd love to hear from you. Okay.
Just talk to us. We're lonely.
We're lonely. Anyway, so that is it for this week. You guys have a great rest of your week.